Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my Christmas series. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For this craft, you're going to need a Dollar Tree wooden ornament, a wooden shim, or a paint stick, or one of the Dollar Tree rulers. That would work too. I'm giving mine a light sand because they tend to be a little rough if you use a shim. And I'm just applying it with some wood glue. Now wood glue is still the best glue for raw wood, and I'm securing it with some hot glue on the side so I get an instant bond so I can continue with my craft. Super glue is the second choice for wood if you don't have wood glue. Don't bother with E6000, that doesn't work. And there's some other glues that work too, but I think the number, as far as number 1, number 2 ranking for raw wood is wood glue, and then a super glue type gel, like that kind of glue. And I'm just giving it one coat of the white primer by Kills. I'm using that up because it's going to dry out and I've got a lot of it. And I'm using some pewter gray from Apple Barrel Paint just to distress the outer edges. Now today we're going to be trying a different way to transfer font. I've seen this on some YouTube videos and I've been wanting to try it for years. I took some wax paper there, I cut it the same size, or as close as I could, to the computer paper, and I'm just taping it on with regular masking tape because that will be easy to remove. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim it on the outer edges here. So the reason I'm doing this is I usually use carbon paper or I scribble pencil on the back, but because I distressed with the pewter gray, it's going to be harder for me to see that. You can also just hold your paper up to the computer screen and trace right off the computer screen if you want, and do that, but I figured I was going to have to print mine up anyway, so let's see if I can kill two birds with one stone here and get it to transfer all in one go. So here I'm taking the wet ink and I'm rubbing it really hard with an old credit card, and there you go. You can see your font right there. So coming up next here is a nice little trick. You're going to see me color this in with a permanent Sharpie marker in a minute. I'm just cleaning up the edges. And I wanted to pass on a tip that I just recently discovered, but I wanted to test it out about 5 times before I was sure that it did work. I have been applying my Sharpie marker super light on the surface of my paint, where I'm literally just touching it feather light and allowing the ink to bleed into the paint rather than pressing down really hard and scribbling. Now it looks like I'm doing that here because this is sped up, but I'm not. I'm actually going really slow and letting the ink just kind of, just kind of overflow onto the paint. Because a lot of times when you use markers on top of paint, you'll find after, I don't know, maybe 7 times of doing that, your ink suddenly isn't flowing very well out of the tip anymore. So chemicals, substances, whatever, they're coming off of the paint and they're clogging up the tip of your pen and obstructing the flow of ink. Now I have tried soaking my tips in alcohol, paint thinner, nail polish acetone, painting it on top of Mod Podge, and those didn't work for me. I think with Mod Podge I didn't wait long enough for it to dry. That might work if you wait a full 24 hours, but if you don't want to wait a long time and you just want to move on with your craft, remember to tap, tap, tap that ink on the paint surface. It will buy you more time. Next, we're going to be taking some Dollar Tree ribbon. I love this ribbon, you guys. I think it is such a perfect burlap ribbon for farmhouse rustic, vintage, whatever you're doing, like any kind of vintage thing you're doing. I think this is gorgeous. I was so excited when I found it. And I'm going to be showing you how to make a floral bow. That's what it's called. It's called a floral bow. It's been around for as long as florists have been around because it's been used in floral shops. Now I see it a lot on YouTube and they show you the loops. They show you how to slit it in the middle, but what they're missing right here is that nice little angled cut that you do in the center. Now, if you're going to embellish stuff in the center of your bow, like more ribbon or pine cones or flower, whatever you're going to put, if you're covering the center, it's not a big deal. You can stop with the slit. But if you're going to use the bow on its own, like for a wedding bouquet or on top of a gift, it really is important to have that graduated angle going down so that you have a nice center of the bow, because you're going to see the center and it looks better. The next step you see me doing here is you pull out the loops in opposite directions and you spin them a little bit. So you're just trying to make a complete circle, and of course, like with every craft, it's done by eye. but if you were to read like a 1950 manual on it, that's what they would tell you to do. So I'm going to go ahead and put ribbon on the center of mine, so it's not totally critical that I did that, but I just wanted to show you guys how to make an official floral bow and tell you the name of it is called a floral bow, and they're really neat and pretty and fun to make. So I'm making a little smaller floral bow there, gluing it in the middle, and now I'm taking some Dollar Tree pine, and to make it look a little more expensive, I'm cutting it down. You don't have to. You can also flock it or sponge some darker green on it. That makes it look more high-end too. But that's what I like, the little pop of color, but I don't like how scraggly it looks. So I usually want to do something to dress it up a little bit, but it's cheap and it works. And here's some spring florals from Walmart from this spring. When spring comes, you guys stock up on those gray-green, like army-colored green florals there. They are perfect for fall and Christmas, I think, and even spring. They're just like an all year round great piece of greenery to have. And this is what we finally have, you guys, and I absolutely love this. I think it came up so beautiful. So for this next craft, you're going to need the Dollar Tree peace sign. I chose this one because it has a center Christmas tree, and you can see me taking my pencil there and just making the opposite side match the other side because I have an idea for this. And I start out by painting the whole thing white. I want this to be really fresh, bright, and happy. So there's a lot of angles on these signs, just a warning ahead of time. I have tried spray painting them in the past, and you will use so much spray paint to get all of the angles that it ends up not being very cost effective. Your sign is not going to cost anywhere near $1 anymore if you do that. It's probably better just to take your time, put on your favorite movie, favorite music, whatever you like to do while you're crafting, and paint it and just have fun with it. So I was feeling very Yuletide-ish, almost like the fairies outside may have decorated it. So nothing dark, everything bright, happy, green, alive. I was thinking of that evergreen that hangs off like a floppy garland on mantles. In fact, I'm going to be buying some this year. I've always wanted it, where it kind of gracefully drapes off the mantle. I think that is so beautiful. And then I'm just going to stain the center tree. I don't want a really solid green heavy paint because I do want some dimension under this, because we're going to be covering it with some moss here that we cut down really, really small. Because when I put it on, I want it to be as flat as possible. So you're going to see me put some Mod Podge on top of this and then put the moss on top of it. Now you can use the green peas that come in a bag. They're hard. In America, we use it for a split pea soup. In the UK, it's for something like mushy peas. But those, when you pulse them in a blender to a very coarse grind like a crumb, they make a beautiful textured rustic covering, and I have used them in many, many crafts in my lifetime, and I love working with those. So if you don't have the moss, don't worry, you can still cover your Christmas tree with something. You can also just sponge on green paint or different colors of green paint to make it textured. I mean, just have fun with it. And you can even just paint it white if you want, but I wanted mine green. So after I cut it really, really small, because I want the moss to be as flat as possible, I just glue it on, and that's it. After I put the moss on, I realized that I need to balance out the green a little bit more to match the heaviness of the moss, because the moss is very textured. So I just go ahead and apply some more green paint. And I also realized it didn't look too much like the evergreen. I mean, I knew I couldn't get it exact, but I wanted it to definitely, so you can see it from a distance, and it just wasn't enough. And here are some decals from the Dollar Tree, and I just thought how pretty. The star fits perfect, and it's just that little bit of sparkle to make it Christmassy and add that magical touch like fairies did it. So came out really, really pretty. I love this. For this craft, you're going to need that burlap banner they sell at the Dollar Tree. It's in the party section. The sign with the little wooden beads, one of the joy plaques, and that red berry garland, I guess. I love that stuff. That's over by the florals, at least in my Dollar Trees. I was trying to give you the locations where they're located in my Dollar Trees. And I'm taking one of the little banners there, I'm just making it a square, and I fray the edges by pulling the threads. And then I decide, since this is Christmassy, I want to add a little bit of Jack Frost around the edges. So I'm just taking some white paint and sponging on a little frost, almost like you see how you frost the edges of a window. That's what I wanted to do with the burlap, but this is a farmhouse theme, so I used the burlap and blow drying it. And now I'm taking the joy sign using hot glue. Now normally I use a super glue on these, but because I'm sticking it to material, it's going to stick just fine with hot glue, so that will work. And I'm going to glue it down in the center of the sign. Unfortunately, this sign's frame is plastic, and that just doesn't fly with my farmhouse rustic decor, so I'm taking a little bit of the Territorial Beige by Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm just rubbing it on with my finger and distressing the sign to give the illusion of it being wood. And I love this berry garland from the Dollar Tree. It's beautiful in its simplicity. It's not gaudy. They're using twigs with a little accent of red here and there. I love it. And I thought, wouldn't it be cute to make a little mini swag for the top of this picture frame and just add some embellishment on the top to cover the middle there. So I'm adding one of the Dollar Tree little Christmas ornaments and some jute twine. And I just thought that was so cute. Now here in the next scene, I left it in because here's the thing. Look at who I have. I have a visitor. Look at that. And I have no idea he's there. And what's even stranger is I had no idea he jumped up for about a good 30 seconds before I noticed him because I was so into my craft. But anyway, I thought that was so cute. He's come to say hello. So hello everybody from Thomas, and Merry Christmas, he says. Anyway, the draw for me on this sign was the wooden beads, and I kind of entertained the idea of putting some wire at the top and having another arch, but then that's too many like swags, and this is a 3-tiered tray decor piece for me. So in the end, I decide that that corner in the right hand lower area there is too empty and it needs a little bit of embellishment, so I put the wood beads there and it came up absolutely beautiful. Now here is a sign I got at the 99-cent only store for $1.99. I fell in love with that frame. It's not the frame, it's like the inside cardboard piece. It kind of looks like faux metal. At Christmas time in particularly, I love to capture some of that merry old England Charles Dickens vibe. But when you have rustic farmhouse in your home, it's tricky to get it to blend in and keep that little bit of continuity going in your home. So the first thing that I did was I tore out the glass. That's got to go. And then I painted the back cardboard black. And now I'm going to take a little bit of the Home Depot paint and go around the edge here. Now this is Home Depot Boo Boo paint. I get it for 50 cents. It's 4 times the amount of the apple barrel paint. And it's a great deal for crafting, so make sure you check it out. We're at the Home Depot there and see if there's some there for you. It usually comes in neutral colors. It's high quality paint, and it's usually matte too, so a nice flat paint for you. And now I'm distressing the actual frame, and I'm adding a little bit of the apple barrel paint in nutmeg, my favorite color for doing faux rust. But I'm looking to make it look rusted, but also to tie it in with the next step that I'm going to do. So I'm kind of trying to do 2 things at once here. And I'm putting the frame back on, and now I'm going to take the Dollar Tree wood little pieces there and lay out a Christmas tree. Make sure that you lay everything down first before you commit with gluing, because these pieces have little subtle curvature in it, so you want the curves to go in the right direction. It kind of aids like the look. You can either make it work for you or make it work against you. So it's good to go through and try different pieces, move them around, and lay them where you want it. And then I stand up so that I have a full view and make sure that I'm gluing everything down just perfect. You can also just go out to Mother Nature and cut some sticks down and do this craft too. And you can get a frame at the Dollar Tree, or a garage sale thrift store. This is a craft for everybody. Now I'm just using some Dollar Tree foam scatter, that's what they call it, and it is glittered. I love painting over glittered things like this because it gives it a lot of texture. And although I love all of the crafts today, I think they all came up super cute. This is probably coming in at my favorite for today. Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to know what your favorite craft is today. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And of course, as always, until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.